Hello, Keith Ruck here at VintageMachinery.org. Well, I thought I'd give you guys another update on our steam locomotive project that we've been working on out here at the museum. So I shared with you probably about a month ago now that we had some boiler issues on the locomotive that required us basically stripping this thing down to just the bottom undercarriage. We had to take the boiler completely off the locomotive, which meant the saddle tank, the steam dome, smokestack, cab, all the controls, all the steam fittings, all the pipes. Everything had to come off. We had to send our boiler up to have some work done to it. Initially, we were told that the tube sheet on the firebox side had some problems and was needing to be replaced. As it turned out, once they got it up there and got the old tubes out, it wasn't as bad as they initially thought, and they were able to actually salvage the tube sheet. They just were able to weld up some pitting and some problems on it rather than actually having to cut it out and replace the whole thing, which was good. Saved us a lot of money, but they also took care of some work that needed to be done to the tube sheet itself. Went ahead, put all new tubes in the boiler, did a complete inspection on the boiler. Everything checked out great, and took about a month to get all the work done. Like I said, we had to actually ship it off to a boiler company to have that done. And we got the boiler back, I guess, a little over a week ago now. And this past week, I'm filming this on a Saturday, Monday through Friday, the museum staff, along with some temporary people that they hired from a local machine shop in town, actually, that does a lot of erecting work and crane work and what have you, heavy lifting type stuff. They came out and started reassembling things. Now, I was not involved in a lot of putting this thing back together. I was involved with some of it. But because of my work schedule, I just was not able to be out here all that time. So unfortunately, I don't really have any video of the locomotive going back together. I did take a few pictures of the process, and I'll throw those in here so you can kind of see some things going on. So I kind of popped in out here occasionally, and I did slip out here a little bit and help out on a few little things. But for the most part, what you see behind me was all done by the museum staff and the temporary people that they hired. But we've got everything back on now, pretty much. Well, I say everything. We've still got a lot of work to do, but mostly now we got to concentrate on putting steam pipes on, getting everything plumbed back up. A few little details. I will say that while we had it apart, we took the saddle tank, the steam domes, the cab, the smokestack, the smoke box in the smoke box, all that to a business not too far from us. And instead of painting this, and it was in bad need of being repainted, this was all powder coated. So we got a pretty good deal to have all this stuff powder coated. They took it, sandblasted it down, stripped it down to the bare metal, and hopefully this powder coating is going to last a lot longer than the last paint job we had on here, which was, it'd been on here about 8 years, and it was peeling off pretty bad. So anyway, keeping our fingers crossed that powder coating is going to be the answer. But all in all, you kind of see where we're at. Today, my job is we're going to be putting all the steam pipes and controls back in the cab, and we'll try to get some video for you guys on that. Well, we're up on the front end of the locomotive, up in the smoke box, and we did a series of videos, or a video a while back, on building the steam pipe ring. So this is up in the top here, you have the dry pipe that comes in. There's a little T back there that goes out and splits the steam into two steam pipes, and these go down into these ports on the bottom that actually take steam to the engines, and that's what the steam powers the actual engines, the cylinders on each side. We had a leak down here in the bottom on the steam pipe ring, and we pulled this steam pipe out, and I made new steam pipe rings for the top and bottom. And you can go look at that video if you want to see how we did that. I had a lot of comments that, well, why don't you go ahead and do the other side while you're doing it? And my response was we just didn't see the need to take this side out because it wasn't leaking. It was fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, as it turns out, when we had to take the boiler off, we had to take this whole side off as well. So I went ahead and made new steam pipe rings for this side as well. Of course, that was done off camera, but same process as before. They were made, lapped in, and we installed those the other day. And they should hopefully be ready to go now with this new boiler on here. We're ready to start putting things back together here in the locomotive, and the very first thing I want to put in is this piece here, and this is called the turret valve. And this is basically what distributes steam into the cab, into the various places that steam needs to go. So we got a fitting coming up out of the boiler here. There's actually a pipe that goes down into the boiler and up into the top of the steam dome, so that we're getting dry steam from the very highest point up in the steam dome, and it's coming in here. And basically this is just a distribution box that has several ports all around it that you can send steam to different places in here. We're going to be hooking up various things to it throughout the day. There's a big valve on the top, which of course you can open and close when you're shutting the locomotive down or starting it up in the morning to just shut the steam down inside the cab. So anyway, this will be the first piece that goes in, and I already see a mistake. I need to put some Teflon tape down here on the bottom. Let me pull this back off and get that wrapped up, and we'll put it back in. All right, try this again. And just a little bit about Teflon tape. We'll be using it throughout the project today on all of our pipe fittings. And the purpose of Teflon tape, a lot of people think that it is to make a better seal, and that's not the case at all. It's basically a lubricant to help the threads go together, and it also serves as just something in that thread to keep it from freezing shut or rusting shut. There's a physical barrier in there so that when you go to take this thing apart, whenever you do take it apart, there's something in there to kind of allow you to, between the two thread surfaces, and it just helps it go apart easier. So let's get this in here. All right, I know that this pipe here in the front needs to be in the back, so we've got to tighten this on down a little bit more. And there's actually a bushing that goes between the boiler and this fitting up here. And I know for a fact that the boiler company pulled this fitting out. So it's going to probably, I'm going to tighten from the top, but we're going to be tightening both of these two bushings together until we get it around to the position that we want it. Got about another quarter turn to go. All right, that looks pretty good. So putting all this together is kind of like working on a jigsaw puzzle, and basically what I'm trying to do is work from the bottom up. Get the stuff that's closest to the boiler first, and then kind of build out. And I've got some photos that I took before we took it all apart that I'm kind of going off of. Next thing I want to do is put the sight glass in, and it kind of mounts. There's a fitting here and a fitting up on the top, and it kind of mounts here on the side in between. And again, it's kind of at the bottom of everything, so we're going to put it on first. And we pulled this out, and it's kind of in pieces. So I'm going to put it back together. We didn't take every single piece off, so we're just going to put it back on here in pieces, just like we took it off. Hopefully this will swing all the way around. I'm going to have to pull the valve off here. Give me just a second. I just screwed the whole gate valve out here. We'll put that back in after it goes on. But this should go on now as an assembly. Yeah. So we're just going to tighten this on here and get it in the right position. And that needs to that's where it needs to be, but that's not tight. We need to go another round. So I'm getting here with a pipe wrench. All right, may have to adjust that a little bit here in a minute. I'll go ahead and put this valve back in here. All right, next there's a little street elbow here that comes up to another elbow. This is where the steam comes out of the boiler into the sight glass, and it goes to a union that we can connect and disconnect. Let's see. I think that needs another round on it. Alright, I'm not sure exactly where that needs to go, so I'm going to leave it where I can adjust it a little bit and get it lined up here in a minute. But before we do that, this is the actual sight glass, and this is what's used to determine the water level in the boiler. Let me Teflon this up. It goes right here. All right, I'm gonna have to bend this away for a moment here, tighten that up. I think that'll give us access. Yeah. And these two have got to line up. This is the union right here, and I can remember from last time we did this, this was rather tricky getting all this stuff lined up just right. I think that's it. All right, tighten that up. And there's just another view of the sight glass from the front, so you can kind of see how it's all went on there better. I think the next piece I'm going to go ahead and put in is just bracket that basically goes down to the boiler and up to the front of the cab, and it just gives the cab some rigidity, basically, keep it from flopping around. And there's a bolt that goes down the boiler here, and a couple that come through the cab like such, and go ahead and just bolt all this stuff on. So now we're going to go ahead and put the brake line in, and there's a line that comes out of the turret valve and goes down to the front, and this just provides steam to the jam brakes that are on the cab or on the locomotive itself. So these are just brakes for the locomotive. They're steam powered, and because they're steam powered, we need a steam feed, which is what we're putting in right here. All right, that one goes there. And we have another pipe here. Put some tape on it. Let's see, back that off just a little bit. Okay. Next here I have just a whole nother assembly that we took out together rather than taking apart piece by piece. It contains the actual brake valve here, has a lubricating port coming into it, and all this connects with just a single union right here. So we'll go ahead and tighten that up. All right. Well, that took a lot of finagling, guys, but we finally got all this brake stuff put in here. The aggravating thing was these pipes that go down through the floor and to various things. I went ahead and put in this piece, which is the tricox go on here, and this just the steam that comes out of them, it just drains out into the bottom onto the rail bed. But like I said, this was aggravating. And I did it off camera. I was just in here working with it. There was no way to get a camera shot of it, guys, and it was just boring anyway, me fiddling around until I got everything to fit right. But that's all done, so let's figure out what the next piece we need to put back on is. So the next piece we're going to put in is the atomizer and the airline. This is for atomizing the fuel, so it's basically going to take steam from the boiler, run it through a regulator, and then that sends steam down to the burner that is used to blow the fuel into the firebox that atomizes or vaporizes the fuel so that it burns better. And it's just, again, a series of pipes here. So we'll get all these going. This T right here, this is going to be where we can plug air in from an air compressor. So that we're firing the engine, don't have any steam on it yet, we can actually feed it with compressed air to atomize the fuel. Once we get steam up on the boiler, we'll turn this off. So I'm not exactly sure what position that needs to be in, so we're just going to leave it right there. And then here's the actual atomizer regulator. We'll put it on. I'm going to leave that loose right now because I'm going to have to adjust some stuff in a bit. Alright, so now I've got a line that goes down for my air input, and this is the actual line that goes to the atomizer, and it also will go down below. So let me get those ready to go on here as well. Alright, continuing on here, we got a pipe that comes down here. This is the pipe that the air comes in on, the compressed air that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Let me grab a crescent wrench. Which is about right there. And go ahead and put this valve back together. Well, guys, I got in here and started putting these pipes in and realized that I had to get the Johnson bar, or this is the bar for adjusting the valves on the valve gear on the locomotive, forward, reverse, and then just fine-tuning the valves for your settings. If you watched my previous video on making the shoulder bolt, it actually goes down here in the bottom, and there just ain't a lot of room in here, guys. I got that camera about as good as I can get, but what I'm doing right now is actually tightening up that shoulder bolt down here in the bottom. Let me see if I can adjust that camera and get a shot of that. Alright, maybe you can see that better, but this cab was not made for filming videos in, I can tell you. But I'm going to get this tightened up. I know some of you guys want to know, see how this actually went on. And here it is going on right now. I'll bring you back in a bit. So we got
So we got everything going here now where the for the atomizer. So again, steam comes out of the turret valve, or air comes up from a jack up under the train. So when we start, we run with air. It comes in here, goes into the atomizer. We can adjust the atomizer here, and then the steam or air, depending on what stage we're in, goes back down. This goes to the burner, and that's what atomizes the fuel. I know people are going to ask about this reversing gear, so we have a Stevenson valve gear on this train, and it's all connected through the linkage, so that when I move the lever up in the cab, you can see it goes down to this pivot point, and that actually moves the Stevenson gear into forward and reverse. This is forward, all the way forward. This is all the way in reverse, and that's in the center or neutral. All right, next piece I'm going to put in here goes to our blower, or what we sometimes call a flash, but this is basically a steam pipe that will go all the way up into the front of the smoke box, and it will blow steam up the smokestack. And what that will do is it will create a draft on the fire, so when you're sitting, you're not running, and you need to make your fire burn a little bit hotter. Like say you're sitting still in the station and you just need to get the fire going up good and hot. You can crack this valve open. It will blow steam up the smokestack, which will in turn create a draft through the boiler, pull more heat and gas through the tubes, and heat it up faster. So I'm going to get this lined up over there, and then we'll tighten that up. As long as we're over on this right side of the engine, we'll go ahead and get this pipe put in up here. This one will go to the right injector, which is used to inject fresh water into the boiler. So again, we take the steam out of the boiler, and it goes through the injector, which then will pull fresh water out of our water tank, and using the power of the steam, it basically will inject the water in the boiler. So as you use up water on the locomotive or in the boiler, you can come in here and replace it with fresh water. Let me grab a different pipe wrench. Tighten this up. Put my valve back in here. All right, looks good. Well guys, we finally got all the pipes put in here and fitted up for the injectors, and this on both sides. There's two injectors, one on each side of the train, and this is the injector, this little brass piece back here, and there's 4 pipes that come in and out of this thing. So you got the steam that comes in. This pipe here is bringing fresh water from the saddle tank. There's a pipe on the back side that goes out, and that delivers the water, the feed water to the boiler. And then you have an exhaust down here on the bottom where any water that just doesn't get picked up, where it can drain out. And there's really, the exhaust pipe is pretty easy to deal with, because it's not really connected to anything. It's just a drain that drops out on the ground. But the other 3 pipes, it has to be lined up perfectly, and they have to fit perfectly up here. And evidently, in the process of putting the train back together, something wasn't exactly in the same place. I think the saddle tank wasn't quite in the exact same place as before, and it really made getting these pipe fittings in here exactly right challenging, and we had a lot of trial and error pulling them out. We ended up having to change some nipples around, shorten up some things, lengthen some pipes here, there, and here, there, and the other place to just get them all where things lined up right. Got it now, but I have probably spent 4 or 5 hours just working on these stupid injectors, but they're done. So we're going to move on with some the other parts here in the cab, and we're getting into short rows, thank goodness. So the next parts we're going to put on here is going to be for the actual throttle lever, which goes right here. There's a stem that goes down into the boiler that has a connecting rod that goes up to the throttle valve up in the steam dome on the locomotive, and when you move this lever, it basically opens and closes the throttle valve up there. There's a little base here that this all goes down on, and it's wanting to be stubborn about getting in there. There we go. That bolts down. Let me go ahead and get that done. All right, with that in place, next goes the actual throttle lever here. Yeah. There's little notches in here that this engages in. I may have to adjust that a little bit. All right, this front edge of this has little notches in it, and there's a little notch on the back here, and they're not lining up just right. I think I need to adjust this so this is tilting back just a little bit. So let me take this off, and I'll probably have to put some shims up under the front of it to tilt it back, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, we got the throttle installed now. Sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself and put it all on here and realized I didn't have the camera running. But anyway, it was just bolting this lever on here. I had to put some shims in here to get this thing sitting straight. And now this has just got a little lever in here that pulls back a little detent piece that fits into notches on here, so you can adjust your throttle anywhere in there. All the way forward is closed, and then all the way back is wide open. Throttle installed. Alright guys, next piece that goes in here is this bracket, and this is going to hold the oiler. The oiler basically takes some steam pressure from the boiler, and it, one drip at a time, it kind of meters out oil and goes to certain places. Now at one time the oiler on this locomotive actually oiled the cylinders. We've replaced that with a mechanical lubricator. It's just a little bit more reliable. The only thing that this is oiling on the locomotive now is our brake cylinder. So basically it mixes in just a little bit of oil in with the steam that goes to that steam cylinder that for the engine brakes. So I'll go ahead and put this on. I'll mention too, guys, I hope this video turns out good. I'm having a real challenge shooting video because it's a bright sunny day outside. I'm up in the cab and you can see the light behind me is just blowing the picture out, and I'm having to really mess with the settings on my camera to get what looks like is a usable video, at least on the screen. We'll see what it looks like when it comes in. Very challenging to shoot video in a dark room with bright sun coming in the windows right behind you. And next comes the oiler itself, which is a heavy little booger. There's one bolt in the back here that just mounts to that bracket. I'm going to leave that a little bit loose for the moment because I need to get this steam pipe that comes from this open valve back here come up and come into the back up here at the top, and that'll be what puts steam into this. Let me go grab that pipe. Got my steam pipe hooked into it now, and we're going to tighten this nut up first. It's a union up here that seals this in place, and once that gets in nice and tight, we'll get it adjusted straight and tighten it down. I'm going to tighten up this nut on the back now. That appears to be fairly straight. Okay, and the last thing is just tighten these bolts up down here on the bracket that's holding it in place. All right, I think we got it all hooked up. Now we need to hook up the, there's two lines in here. One is the oiler line that goes from the oiler to the brake cylinder right up here, and then there's also a drain that comes out somewhere over here, right here maybe, no, right here, here we go. And this drain just has a line that goes down through the floor and onto the ground where it drains any water out of it. I'll get those hooked up off camera. Well guys, I think we're about done what we can do today on putting stuff back in the cab here, and really and quite honestly we're nearly done. There's a couple of things that still need to be done. Main thing is to get the steam gauge in here, but we're going to do a little modification to the mounting bracket that holds this thing. So we're going to hold off on that until we get some parts back. I actually drew up a drawing a little while ago, and we're going to have a local shop here in town burn it out for us on their plasma cam. Anyway, so that's going to be for our steam gauge and our atomizer gauge to mount on up here. What's in here worked, but it's had a few issues, and we're going to take care of them while we're in here. But other than that, we're done in here. So it has been a challenging couple of days getting this work done. You know, it's just one of those things you just got out here and just get her done. And that's what we did. It took me pretty much 2 full days to do all this, and a lot of it should have probably been a little bit easier, but things just weren't lining up right for whatever reason. No big deal. I mean, every time you take this thing apart and put it back together, things are going to move in alignment slightly. And unfortunately, when you're talking about pipes, you know, if it's a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch off, sometimes that's more than you've got wiggle room, and you just have to go adjust things. And a pipe fitter, I am not, although I've gotten a lot of practice at it the last couple of days. So with that, guys, this will be a wrap. They're going to continue working on the locomotive, doing the last few little things that need to be done to it this coming week. Again, I'm probably going to be out of the picture for most of that because I've got work to do with my job, and it's going to prevent me from being out here helping with it. But we'll try to get some pictures. We're hoping to test fire this thing this coming Thursday, and run it either Thursday. We're going to probably test fire it again on Friday, and run it some on Friday. Just make sure everything, get the bugs worked out of it. And if all things go well, this coming Saturday, we will have the locomotive back in operation at the museum after about a 3-month down period, including our month of August, which was our maintenance month anyway when the museum was closed. So we've really missed about 2 months of operations at the museum, just beyond our control. And just sometimes you just have to fix things when they break, and that's what we had to do here. We had to fix things, and I'm personally just tickled that we were able to get it turned around as quick as we did. So with that, that'll be a wrap. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later.